Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Take Charge, where it is our mission to have our viewers taking charge of their future by taking charge of their now. Now, before we get into today's show, I just feel the need to really explain that concept. Taking charge of your future by taking charge of your now. What do I mean by that? So many times we get wrapped up in either the future or the past that we forget the most important part, which is the present. It is a fact that anything that you would achieve or aspire to achieve, anything that you really desire, I feel that it begins within yourself. If you want better, there's a saying, if you want better, you must become better. And that's what our focus is here at Take Charge. That's what our focus is for our viewers. And that's what I hope that you get out of one of these wonderful messages that we're going to have for you tonight. So, having said that, we've been talking about turning your pain, turning something that has kind of been an adversity, a pain, into something that's powerful, into something that can create even more, or to create a blessing. And I'm not sure how many of you out there have gone through something, but if you have, has that something created a shackle? Has that something weighed you down from being your greatest self? And if you tuned in last week, you saw that we had a brother that went from selling drugs, that went from going to prison to now being a minister and a fisherman for men and just doing some great things in the community. This week, we have another exceptional guest by the name of Miss Christy Johnson, whose story is even more powerful, and she's really doing a lot of great things, not just for the community, but for women and for a culture as well. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest, Miss Christy Johnson.
Hi, my name is Christy Johnson. I'm from Finding Your Destiny. It is a domestic violence shelter that is dedicated to my wonderful daughter, Destiny. Today, we will talk about the injustice I received to receiving justice in the name of Destiny.
Absolutely. And that is our topic for today, from injustice to justice. Now, you can turn on your TV right now. You can go on Facebook. You can pretty much go on any kind of social media, and you're going to see some type of injustice, some type of violence. It's almost gotten to the point where we've even gotten used to it. But is that injustice weighing you down? Have you gone through so much injustice that that's all you see? Because there is a benefit. There is a greater side to that, and that's what we want to broadcast today. Turning your injustice into justice. And let's talk about that, because you have an organization called Finding Your Destiny. And what was the actual principle or the story behind that organization?
Yes, Finding Your Destiny is dedicated to my daughter, Destiny. At the age of 19, Destiny was murdered in a domestic violence relationship, and her abuser hung her in her closet to frame her as committing suicide. From that, the police department, the judge, the prosecutors, no one was interested in actually taking the real time to investigate her death. There were warning signs, there were threats, there were also domestic violence abuse. A lot of people only think abuse takes place when someone physically harm you,
Right.
but domestic violence goes way deeper. There's also the physical, there's also the mental, there's social, there's isolation, as well as just the humankind of breaking you down to make you feel like you're nothing. At that time, I had given evidence, I had given recordings, I had given laptops, cell phones, everything that was needed for a full investigation. They told me that there was nothing they can do because they didn't have time to fully investigate her case.
So wait a minute. You mean to tell me that even though this young lady was murdered, and even though you had the evidence, they were saying that there wasn't enough information or time to do a thorough investigation?
Yes.
And I just kind of want to take a minute to pause here, and I want people to just think about you as a parent. How would you even feel knowing that that happened to your baby, to your child, and then not only that, that there was no justice for it. So how did you deal with that? Because I'm quite sure that people are going through something that they're having a hard time dealing with, something that has really kind of held them down and held them back. And the great thing that I have to give kudos to you is you found a way to turn that around and to not dwell on it, but to bless people and to help people. So how did you even deal with that at first? I mean, let's even start from there. You're not getting the justice, and what do you do at that point?
Immediately, I turned to the God up above. If it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be the strong warrior. I wouldn't be the strong mother I am. I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for God. And through all the trials, through all the crying, through all the praying, through all the begging and calling and asking for them to fully investigate her case, asking for them to do some justice for Destiny. When I was turned away, I wasn't turned away from God. And so at that time, he was my savior. I prayed. I asked God what he wanted me to do, because I knew that there could not be another person, another teen, another woman going through the type of murder or the type of abuse that domestic violence brings.
So let's just make sure we capture this, because even through that adversity, even through that pain, what you did, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you took yourself out of the equation and you gave it to him. You gave it to the higher power. You let him take that control.
Oh, I did, because I knew deep down of how much I loved my daughter, and I knew from the pain I was experiencing that I had another daughter I had to take care of. And so I knew if I would have took it into my hands, my daughter would have suffered, and I wouldn't be here to help her become the woman that God wants her to be.
And I just met your daughter, and she's a lovely young lady. But that's so mature and so wise, that understanding that, you know what, hey, there's still things that I need to finish. There's still things that I need to do. There's still things that need to be accomplished, and I must continue to go forward with the faith and with him backing me, but I must continue to go forward. That's just so powerful, because we all get to a point where we feel broken, we feel down, and whatever that situation is, particularly the domestic violence. There's probably women watching right now who feel like there's nothing that they can do, feeling broken. What would you say to a young lady who is in that situation, even right now as we speak?
Yeah, I tell all women that I ran across since starting my own organization that there is a way out. That you have to take another look at yourself. You have to look at, do I want to continue to receive the disrespect, feeling lonely, feeling lost, feeling isolated, knowing that I'm a better person, knowing that I can accomplish and be the woman that God wants me to be, and not only what God wants you to be, but the woman you want to be? Because all women have hopes and dreams.
Absolutely.
And if you're letting your hopes and dreams be taken away and shattered over someone who don't care about you, then the next thing for you would be that you will become his walking rug. He will walk over you, mistreat you, beat you, dog you, and then the next thing is kill. Because once they feel that you are becoming a stronger person and you're understanding that this is not what's made for you, and they will make sure that they will do something to you that's harmful. And for example, my daughter had a restraining order on her abuser. Within 24 hours of getting her restraining order, she was murdered.
Wow. So even taking the restraining order, that wasn't even enough.
No, because he was so sophisticated in what he did with calling, with texting, with showing up, with using his words, with using his forceful attitude, with using his aggression, with using anything that he knew would get her attention to either see him, talk to him, let him in, anything. This is what abusers do.
And you know what? I can't help but see a correlation here because as human beings, we're very intelligent, we are very emotional, but it's something about our psyche that we tend to fool ourselves. You know, they say doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is truly the definition of insanity. Yet, as human beings, I find that we put ourselves in positions where we continue the same cycle but expect a change at the end. And if there's one thing that I can kind of piggyback off of what you're saying is if you're in a situation that isn't good for your health, your body, your mind, your spirit, then please understand if you continue to stay in that same situation, it's going to continue and even get worse. So the very first, if you want something different, then you must do something different, right? And surrounding
Exactly.
yourself with people and organizations like hers who already have the resources that are going to be able to help you. Because wherever you are at this point, you've gotten there by yourself. And it just may take someone else or a group of people to help you get out of that situation.
Yes. And that's all it takes is just for you to speak to one person. Bring them, make them aware of your situation. Because you never know who you might be talking to at that time.
It's true.
And that person could be the one that can save your life. And I find that to be very important because with my organization, I'm available 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And I work day and night. I'm available for any woman that needs help. And as a domestic violence advocate, I'm dedicated to my cause. I'm dedicated to my daughter. I'm dedicated to any other woman and teen girl that is in a situation that is dangerous. And just to say the word dangerous, domestic violence is dangerous. There is nothing about it that's loving, caring, nothing about it that's going to give you anything better. It's just one of those vicious cycles that continue, and it goes on and on and on. And with the justice system not fully taking responsibility to protect women, it's just the injustice continues to go until another woman is dead.
And forgive me for even saying this, and I don't want to come off insensitive or anything like that, but what I'm hearing here is even when we seek outer justice from a group, from the police, from the court system, and we're getting that injustice from that, we can still get the justice for ourselves. And we don't need to depend on one door. If one door is closed, that doesn't mean that we can't go seek out another door. So, look, let's be real. Is there injustice in this world? Absolutely. Is the violence getting out of hand? Absolutely. Are there needless killings and shootings? Absolutely. But you can find justice within yourself. You can find justice in another cause. You don't need to keep beating your head against the wall knowing that this system that is broken is going to help you. You can seek out your justice. And that's what I really want to kind of focus on, because you've turned that situation. And as sad and as negative as that situation was, you've turned it into a mission. You've turned it into a purpose. And that's what I want people to really understand out here, is that even in your pain, there can be purpose. So there had to be a process, right? What took you from thinking and feeling that tragedy and that hurt to saying, you know what, no more. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my part. I'm seeking out my justice by making sure that this doesn't continue to happen to other women. Can you explain that process? Because I really feel like people, excuse me, will benefit from that.
Well, I know that a lot of individuals are not, I'm not going to say not Christians, but a lot of people, they don't depend on what the Bible says. So the Bible says, you ask and you shall receive. And
Ask and you shall receive. That's big.
And what I did, I prayed, and God answered me, and he told me, he says that I have chosen you to help other women and children that are in domestic violence situation. You are to save them because he said that with you, I know your heart, I know your mind, I know your strength, and I know the wisdom that's in you. And with all of that, and he told me, start my organization. And 2 months later, after my daughter was dead, I received my articles of incorporation.
Wow. Wow. So, and I want to go back to that point. Ask and ye shall receive. Ask and ye shall receive. Because I do think that that goes over a lot of people's heads. Whether you're Christian, whether you believe in that or not, there's something about the power of words and intense thought, and more importantly, faith, belief.
Yes.
Because, asking for something, kind of hoping and wishing, please, please, that's different than asking and commanding, accepting,
Right.
already knowing that it's going to come to fruition. So when you're speaking with that kind of power, when you're not necessarily asking, but pretty much asking that you already know you're going to receive it, when you have that kind of power, there's a great connection. And because it took you action, he gave it to you, but you still had to take the steps, right?
Yes.
You still had to file the articles of incorporation. You still had to reach out to different organizations. You still had to find partnerships. So it's not like he just threw it in your lap, but he gave it to you and you took the action because you had that faith.
Yes. One thing about having faith is having faith and knowing what you're asking for is coming. You have to believe in yourself. And
Here we go.
I ask a lot of women, tell me who you are.
Mm.
And a lot of women cannot give you a description of who they are.
Yeah.
So I told them, I said, well, I'm going to describe myself to you, and then you describe yourself to me. And I told them, I said, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a Christian, I'm a warrior, I'm a fighter, I am an achiever, I will succeed, and most of all, I would never give up on my life, I would never give up on my children, or the power that I have to change other lives. And I just had a woman cry, and she says that just by hearing all the actions, all the things that you're doing, she said, I could never do that. I said, you can do it. You can. I said, we could write out an action plan. There's a roadmap to everyone succeeding and getting out of domestic violence.
And it's so powerful that you say that, because you are so right. So many people go in day to day. You can ask them where they work, where they live, what their relationship is, what their favorite show is. But when you ask them who they are, like, who are you inside?
Yes.
A lot of people can't answer that. And it's something that I feel we all need to go through, because if you don't know yourself, if you don't even know what you're capable of, how can you even believe that you can achieve it? See, the belief, like you said, it starts within here. And there is a process. There is. And that's what I want you to understand, is that because you're willing to take that first step, life, God will find a way to push you in the right direction. He will find the people that you need. But you must first know where you start. And that's a process in itself. And let's just even kind of step away. Let's take a step back. Has there been something that was called into you? Has there been something, whether it was a domestic violence, whether it was a business, whether it was an organization, whether it was, just helping a neighbor or giving something to the homeless? Has there been a calling on your life that you've been ignoring? Because, see, that could be your key to freedom. That could be your key to justice. But in order to understand that, you must be willing to know where you are. And more importantly, who you are not, right? What won't you stand for? Because that is so important. Clarity is key. And, I just wanted to kind of get this point out, because a lot of times, and I've done this, and even still, even knowing this, I'm still aiming to perfect this craft. A lot of times we ask for things, but we don't ask it in a direct way. And a lot of times we're not really sure of what we want. So how can we really ask if we're not even sure of who we are?
Well, that goes with the three core values of my organization, and as me as a person, we have integrity,
Mm.
empathy, and respect. Those are my three core values for myself and for my organization. And I can't surround myself by individuals that don't have those three main core values.
Mm. Mm.
And I believe that when you're speaking to God, God already know if you have the right integrity of what you're asking for.
Mm.
He already know if you have the empathy to empathize and to be able to bring what you're asking for into action.
Go ahead now.
And the respect comes when you can look up at God and you can look around the world and you can say that I respect you for being who you are and I understand your situation. And with me being a woman of God and a friend, a mother, a wife, and someone that has been through domestic violence, someone that serves individuals who have been through it, all you have to do just ask. Tell me what you want. Show me that you are willing to succeed. Show me that you're willing to stand for yourself, because I believe in restoring hope and futures.
And I really want to make sure that if you're tuning in, that you're really getting this. I really want to make sure that you understand this, because what she is saying, this principle, it's universal. And what I mean by that is, make sure you understand her process. One, she had to know who she was, define that. From that, she got a key sense of principles. Could you name those three principles again?
Yes, integrity, empathy, and respect.
Okay. And if you didn't catch it, right after she said that, she said, I don't deal with anyone who does not have those three characteristics. I don't deal with anyone that doesn't have those three characteristics. So coming back to what I said earlier, you need to know who you are not, because a lot of times if you don't even know who you are or what you stand for, you can start to allow people in your circle that'll distract you from the mission that you have inside of you.
And those are the things that abusers look for. They look for you not to have the type of integrity to stand. They look for you not to have the empathy for yourself. Because if you care about yourself, you would know. You could spot them a mile away.
Right. Yep.
You could smell them. And so with the respect, they look for you not to value yourself,
Yep.
not to stand up, not to show that I'm a woman, you're not going to curse me. They look for you not to say that if you hit me, I'm going to report it. These are the things that they look for. So they know if you don't have those three characters, you're bait.
And what you just said was so perfect. So now I'm speaking to everyone out there, and I'm going to challenge you. What are your key principles? What do you stand for? More importantly, what don't you stand for? Because like you said, when you don't stand for something, that's when you could fall for anything. And there are signs, right? And because we're not sure of who we are or what we stand for, a lot of times we avoid those signs. So let's even talk to domestic violence. You know, you're in a relationship and the man verbally abuses you. Oh, well, he didn't mean it. You know, oh, he still loves me. You know, because you don't know where you stand, you're going to tolerate that because you're going to give it an excuse. But that excuse evolves into something else. And then you get to a point where you just can't even control it. You're, how did I even get here? You got to know where you are and who you are so that you can, as soon as that person steps out of line verbally, you should put him in check and leave, right? He's not for you. Right.
Yes.
And it's difficult. We are human, but at the same time, you have to really live with that spirit, knowing who you really are, because that's going to be your compass. That's going to let you know if this relationship or if this person or if this job or if this organization or even if this idea is for you.
Yeah. And with you talking about the first time, now see, that's key point. Because any woman that is raised to know that if anyone hits you from a little child growing up, when you know that they say that boys shouldn't hit you, boys don't put their hands on girls.
Right.
I'm like, you're taught that is ingrained in you. So why would you accept that as a teenager, as a child? Because the first time you overlook it, the first time you make up an excuse, the first time you don't say anything, that's opening the door for the next time. And then it continues the vicious cycle, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And I tell women when I meet with them, because a lot of women, I ask them, how did you get here? And so I do it's called an evaluation. And during the evaluation, I ask particular questions. And I ask, were you taught that abuse was okay? And a lot of women say, well, I was told that if a man does this, if a man does that, it's not okay. I said, but do you know what abuse is then? Because a lot of women only think that just because if he touches me, that's abuse. No, abuse is way deeper than that. Abuse is anything that makes you feel worse than what you are.
Yeah.
Abuse is verbally, psychologically, and it also affects you mentally. And once they realize that they have your mind control, they already know that I'm going to do it today. And then when she called the police, all you got to do is just say that, no, she's crazy. She's on medication. Because that's what they look for. They look for ways that the police will say, oh, yeah, she's on medication because, I've been here two times already.
And you make a great point. And I kind of want to just counteract that because, and I'm no expert, so I'm actually more asking you than telling or saying. But I know that I've even read several articles where some women even feel as though they need to be abused in order to feel loved, right? And all I can really think about is how and again, I'm not coming from a judgmental point, but we're talking about knowing yourself, having your self-worth, knowing your worth. And I just can't seem to fathom or think that anyone that really knows who they are could even say that if you abuse me, you love me. So what would you say to a woman, and I don't even know, have you encountered women like that who have actually said, I'm not sure if he loves me unless he does hit me?
Yes.
What would you say to that?
That's some of the, I want to say, number one or number two cause of women staying in these relationships is because they are lost. They are confused. They don't know what love is. And I met with the woman, and I usually take my Bible with me everywhere I go because with my ministry I'm building, I like to bring the word of God in, and I like to have him in a situation because when there's two or more bringing up the word God and they're reading about God, God enters into that space. And so I went to 1 Corinthians 13, verse 13, number 4.
Okay.
And I said, can you read to me what love is? And it says that love is not hurtful. Love is not painful. Love is not boastful. And it says that love is not something that breaks you down and make you feel inferior. And so I was having her read from verse 4 all the way down. I think it was verse 13 or 14. And so when she was beginning to read those verses, you could see the crying, the tears rolling down her eyes. Her eyes turned really red. And I asked her, I said, are you okay? And she says that I never knew the Bible said this. And so the only thing I could do, I just had to give the lady a hug, and I told her, I'm here. It's okay. I said, God is here. I said, this is what God say he want me to do. Because if I can bring you the real word of what God says, God can bring you the real man he want you to be with.
I love that. Okay, now.
And so, with that being said, and I still work with this lady today. She won't leave me. She won't. I still work with this lady today, and she has really blossomed. She's growing. She now has a job. She was able to get a divorce, I helped her with some of those proceedings. She was able to get a restraining order. And I told her, I said, anything you need, you just ask God for. I say, because God says, ask and you shall receive, and he will not lie to you. I said, there are principles in the Bible that says things that you can ask for.
And you know what? Because you're making so many great points. And I really want to make sure we're bringing it home for our audience here. Because I know we have a few more minutes here. Love. And I really want to speak, to the entire audience, because I know we're focusing on domestic violence, and that is a real issue, and that is something that we really need to focus our attention on, because too many lives are being lost with that. But I want to focus on this word love. If you, and before I even get to that, I know when I was in my teaching career, and even just a couple years ago, even a couple months ago, even yesterday, sometimes we tell ourselves negative thoughts. Oh, you can't do that, right? You shouldn't do that, or who are you to do this, right? So we put ourselves down, right? We have these inclinations in our heads, we have these dreams, and somehow we suck those dreams out because we start doubting ourselves. And I'm saying this for a point, so just bear with me, because if you can't even learn how to talk to yourself, and you can't even learn how to love yourself, how can you know what real love is? How can you accept real love if you inside don't even love yourself? And the crazy thing is, and here's what I'm realizing, that is a very wide spectrum. You can come from a place where, you really hate yourself, you want to kill yourself, to a point where you're just doubting yourself, right? But even still, you are the greatest asset in your life. You have to learn how to love yourself, because, and here's the point, if you don't love yourself, then how can you have faith in something greater than yourself? And if you don't have faith in something greater than yourself, then when you ask, you're just hoping. You're not asking with power. You can't ask and receive without having faith. You can't have faith without knowing yourself. And you can't know yourself if you don't even love yourself. I'm sorry, I had to bring that to a point, because your message is so universal. Even though it's blessing those victims, it's so universal. And I want people to understand the power that not only that she has, that you have. But it starts with the love. You gotta love yourself. And I'm so sorry. I wanted to say that.
Well, I have to say something too, because God also said, if you believe it, you shall receive it. So if
believe, receive.
Yeah.
Believe, receive.
Yeah. So if you believe in yourself, if you believe you're going to get out, if you believe you want better, if you believe that God is going to bring you the man he wants you to be with, and trust this. This is one thing I know. God is not going to bring you a piece of trash that is going to abuse you in any way. He's not going to bring you a piece of trash that's going to curse you out, that's going to call you names, that's going to demean you, that's going to isolate you. You have to look for the man that God wants for you. And
you're... What you're saying is just so relevant. It's so true. If it's not peace, if it's not in sync, then it's not godly. And sometimes we have to let go of our human desires and give it up to the godly desires. Because like you said, love doesn't hurt. Now, as we're coming to a close, I just want to make sure that we're bringing this point here. One, whatever you've gone through, whatever you're going through, it can be turned into a blessing. That we've proven here. We proved that last week with Minister Brian Bordley. We're proving that here with Miss Christy Johnson. You can turn your pain into power. That's first and foremost. I want you to make sure you're understanding that. Whatever you're going through, you can turn that into something that's powerful. Powerful, beyond your comprehension. I'm quite sure that when she started this, she didn't even think about how big this organization could go, because you've got to have that faith. And I want to bring this other point to a close. Believe and you receive. And this is something that I've learned the hard way, and I'm still learning. Just because you say you believe does not count as belief. You can't just say, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. You can't. I've tried. It does not work. And I'm telling you, there's something magical, there's something spiritual when you have the inner belief. You can't, it can't help. Look, if you don't believe me, you got to be, you're watching me. You're watching me. I mean, I know you can hear it in my voice. I believe. Like, you can't shake my belief. Like, you just can't. And it starts inside. It's a process. So the belief, you can't just say, I believe, and things just happen. You really have to start within yourself and really create that inner belief, that inner relationship with God. And once you do that, then you can believe and you can ask. And if you ask and you really desire it, you really believe it, it is yours. It's written.
Yes, and I would like to
we
bring
gotta wrap
this
up.
up.
Yes, please.
Okay. I would like to bring this up because when I first started praying and asking God for justice, because I didn't get it from the justice system.
Right.
I didn't get it from the justice system.
Don't get me started.
So-
That's a whole nother episode.
So God said that I've already answered all your prayers. So while this piece of trash is out roaming the streets, still continuing to harm other women and hurt other women, he murdered another woman. And
Wow.
I'm going to tell you how powerful God is, because God made him call in and report it.
Wow.
And he told the police that he killed another woman. So now, from the injustice that was received to justice now, my daughter's case is now fully being reinvestigated as a murder.
Oh, look, and I know we got to go, but I please don't miss this. She had injustice. What did she say at the beginning of the show? She stepped out of the way and gave it to God. She gave it away. She didn't hone it. She didn't dwell on it. She didn't let it eat her inside. She gave it away. And when she did that, this young man, I mean, because it's not about him, it was about you. It was about your peace. It was about your justice. When she found that, everything that she wanted, everything she desired came into fruition. Now, you want to call that coincidence? You can do that, but I know better. Yeah. I have faith and I believe, and I know that because you found the justice within yourself, the justice came outside.
To just wait on the Lord, follow God's footsteps, the path that he has redirected me into saving lives, and in return, he told me that all my prayers have been answered. And so I know justice will be served.
That's right. And not only that, justice is served, because just imagine the justice that you're serving to the women that you're reaching, the ministry that you're creating. And this is why I love doing this show, because the more and more people that I meet, the more and more people that we have on the show, the more and more I realize that this is real. You've got to have that belief. You've got to be able to step out of the way. It's not hard. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I have my days. Like I said, I had my doubts even today, right? So it is never perfect, but it's just moving towards that perfection, moving forward, knowing that you have that faith and that things will work out as long as you keep taking those steps. And look, we've got to come to a close. We're even going a few minutes over, but this is just so powerful. I want to make sure that people can reach out to Christy. That's one of the major points of Take Charge here. We're doing real things with real people, and I want you to be able to reach her if you like to. So if you're going through something, if what she said spoke to you, if you want to help her with her ministry, if you want to volunteer, please make sure you're reaching out to her. Christy, how can they reach you?
Yes, you can go to my website. It's www.finding, which is FindingYourDestiny.org, which is findingyourdestiny.org. And also, I will be conducting classes at the Druid Heights Community Center down in Baltimore.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to attend any of my lovely domestic violence classes that are very uplifting and empowering, come on by.
All right. And look, if you can't find that information, make sure you email me at takechargeradioshow@gmail.com. Once again, that's takechargeradioshow.com. And I will make sure that I put you in contact with her or and give you some more directions on to how you could take that course. Listen, I hope you've been uplifted. I hope that this message has not only empowered a part of your life, but your entire life. Because, again, it starts from within. It starts with that belief. And as we leave here, we always say, make sure you're taking charge of your thoughts, taking charge of your actions, and taking charge of your destiny. This is Jeff Shepard with our guest, Christy Johnson. Have a wonderful weekend. Take charge.